I am going to title this video, I Fire Attorneys, because apparently it seems like if you had an attorney representing you, then you shouldn't be stuck with a bad order, or you shouldn't be in a position of a victim, or you shouldn't have lost if you were in the right. This is the overwhelming mental construct of individuals, both mostly that I'm seeing in with respect to other attorneys. I can't say if it's with respect to the overall mental construct of society, but within this small subset, they think, oh, you had an attorney, so you can't make any complaints about like the current situation. And this actually is not true, but this is one of the largest underhanded tools that attorneys use in terms of like mediation and convincing people to do certain things or telling them what they can and can't do. And it's gotten to a point, I think, where attorneys have more power than they really should have, because they can tell someone to do something that's not necessarily the right thing, or something a judge would do, or that doesn't necessarily align with the law, but it's more like with their viewpoint, right? They think a nursing baby should go overnight for the full weekend when it's 1 year old. Not like one overnight, like Friday night to Monday morning. 1 year old nursing baby. I mean, this is what a man who's never given birth to children, hasn't really participated in childcare, this is what he's thinking should happen. So I've been finding, and it's very unfortunate, that every time I talk to an attorney with trying to get a new attorney, I hear the same question. Well, didn't you have an attorney representing you? I'm like, yeah, and it's just like no consideration. You see, at that point, people stop questioning. Oh, there's their answer, right? You had an attorney representing you at mediation, so it's said and done. You had fair, good quality. That's even more of a problem when you have someone with a good reputation who's actually acting unethically, which we see happen all of the time. All kinds of famous men acting really great all the time. New York Attorney General, women's rights champion. Oh, but now he's punching women, his significant others, as they're getting undressed at a time that's supposed to be intimate and tender and loving. He's punching them or open fisting them. But I digress. So I'm just saying, you can have any sort of mental construct about someone or a situation, or think because this person was in this situation, they should be okay and they have a fair and equitable situation over here. And we need to learn as a society to quit looking at things for face value, to quit looking at the outside Instagram careers that people have, and we need to figure out a way to look deeper into who people really are. This is a really hard thing to do, especially because so many people, they live in this shell. They don't open up. And I think that we're never going to really be able to learn to look deeper without the first step being an opening of the heart and a honesty with others about who you are and what you represent, whether that be good or bad. If you're on the side of angels, be on the side of angels. Don't pretend to be an angel and you're really a demon. I think it starts with children. Instead of teaching them to cover up and to hide and to be quiet and to sit down and do what they're told, should allow them to be their own selves and individuals. Anyways, I'm going to talk about my attorneys, and I might have to cut off the video and do like, I fire attorneys 1, I fire attorneys 2, I fire attorneys 3, and so on, because apparently I'm like a real gangster, you know? I am such a bad woman. Shame on me. I fired someone who didn't do a good job. They're like, so I've fired a plumber before, I've fired a cleaning person before, I've fired an employee, a contractor, I've let go someone working with me, for me, I have fired myself from a bad boss before. None of these things discredit me, but somehow attorneys think if an attorney is withdrawn or you've let them go, especially if you've let go multiple attorneys, suddenly there's something really wrong here. So I'm gonna clear the space, clear the air, and put out in the record. I would very much like to mention names, but as I have seen the corruption in the system and how such upstanding Texas superstars can get away with some pretty bad things. I'm not going to mention names as much as I would like to. Maybe in the future I'll put it up. Anyways, attorney number 1. Just say tall, handsome, Texas superstar. Oh, you like that guy, don't you? Oh, everyone likes him. What a great guy. I didn't really even need to hire him. I think that should have been the first step, is telling me, look, the Attorney General is just going to set up child support and standard possession schedule. There's not much to worry about. You're kind of like in a winning situation. He also should have told me that after being abandoned during my entire pregnancy without any support, and the father knowingly and willingly abandoned me, that I had the legal right to terminate that man's rights as a parent. And I was not given this information. I think that's really the problem, when attorneys don't give people all the information and all their options, and they say, this is what you should do based on my experience, but they're not sharing the law, and they're sharing their opinions about what should happen. So Mr. C, I paid him $19,944.11 for a one-day mediation and to review a contractual agreement. I was reviewing some of the emails and information today, and I see that when he writes like some proposed agreement, and I say 1 year old, with a nursing baby, he's gonna be a year just in 4 months. I'm not sure if he's gonna be ready for the full weekend with the dad. He actually writes me this long, super nice, super understanding, super kind email, which ends with, but I understand if I'm not the right person for you, and you feel like I don't understand your needs and don't understand where you're coming from, and I would urge you, if this was the case, to maybe find another attorney, because if you were gonna find another attorney, the time would be now. So basically, he spent my money, probably like $100, to write me this long email suggesting I fire him. And I wanted to be like, why would I fire you? You got a good reputation. You're supposed to be a good attorney. I just don't agree with sending a baby away before he's weaned. That's hard on him. He should not do that. So, really, I was looking through the bills and I couldn't figure out all of these bills, because I met with him 2 times, exchanged a couple emails, you can see all of them in the inbox, maybe about 15 short, 1-sentence emails. And most of this was just about BS with the dad, harassing me and stuff that I did not even need to be a part of, and my attorney didn't need to be a part of it. I didn't need to pay for the dad complaining about not getting the time he wanted when he was contesting paternity. So he's one hand he's contesting paternity, and the other hand he's trying to see the baby, which I had been offering to him every week, all along, every couple days. Hey, here's a picture, just let me know when you want to see him. Any more offering, and I would have crossed that river of, being pleasant to harassment. So with this man, at the end, I say something look, I don't need you to do, after the final order is entered, I send him something look, I don't need you to kind of be involved with all these back and forth drama emails. Basically saying I politely said, I don't need you to address all the other people's complaints. I don't need you for that. I will say that's partially a mistake on my part, because then he's like, oh, I'm no longer your attorney, and then you get in really big trouble. On the other hand, he never still withdrew. I never signed something for him to withdraw. He was still my attorney of record, which technically, when I get served with the TRO a month and 4 days later after the entry of the final order, he should have stepped up and been like, and gone down to court for me. I call his office and I'm like, I just had my baby taken away. I've done nothing wrong. What the fuck is going on? Like, I need you to come to a hearing in 3 days. There's a hearing in 3 days. Doesn't even have the decency to call me back when I have paid him almost $20,000, basically on my back, child support plus some. $20,000 for basically doing jack shit. Like, there was nothing that he did that defended me, that helped me. He did not give me any information about how, like, I could get set up and have my baby taken, how maybe I should terminate this man's rights if he was being such a jerk. Maybe he was leading a bad path, and he's seen men do this sort of stuff before, because I guarantee you that's how they start out. They start gaslighting you, writing you crazy texts, making stuff up, causing drama when there just doesn't need to be, and then trying to say that they're not the dad. Like, it's typical, saying they're gonna ruin your life. I've given him the timeline, how he told me if I had this child, he would ruin my life and destroy me forever. He knew this about this guy. Like, he knew what he was dealing with, and he did not warn me that I needed to be really careful about what I said, about what I did, about text messages that I sent, about emails, and that my best bet was to say nothing, do nothing, and follow that court order. I don't care if I had a baby that was almost dead. If I had a baby that I thought was gonna die on a visit because he had 104 temperature, and this man was gonna, like, not pay attention in the crib, and his fever was gonna spike, and he would then go deaf or die accordingly because he would be so feverish he couldn't even cry out and call, that I needed to, like, you know, go get emergency court order and tell the judge, like, hey, the baby's too sick to go on visits. What do we do? You know, here's the doctor's orders. What do we do? This is what this attorney should have been telling me for $19,000 and done something, so I never got myself in a situation where I said something that could then be used against me in court and have my little bitty baby taken out of my home. Even more appalling than his lack of foresight and warning me on the true nature of the court system, and more appalling than the $19,000 that he took for a one-day mediation and a little bit of back and forth with a man just being like trying to stick his thorn in my butt, was the fact that when I called him and did have my baby taken away, he didn't even have the decency to call me back personally. He had his secretary tell me, oh, I'm sorry. I don't think Mr. SC can be available at that hearing next week. In 3 days, we can't be ready that soon. Well, who the hell can be ready? Because you've been working on my case, the tiny bit of work that's had, you know everything about it for the past 2 months. You were with me in a room all day long. We chatted. You tried to work on other work, and I was like, if I'm paying you $300 an hour, I hope you're talking to me and not working on someone else's work. Regardless, he still worked on other works, and I got billed work, and I got billed $300 an hour. The nerve to tell me, to have his secretary tell me, oh, I'm sorry, he can't be available. You know what? He better become available. Because if he's my attorney of record, if someone is your attorney of record, they do not have the legal right, if you are in trouble, to refuse your calls, to refuse to show up for a hearing for you, and to refuse to help you out. This is illegal. That's why you have an attorney. He was my attorney of record. I should have said, well, guess what? I bet your bottom dollar he's gonna be there, or I'm gonna file a complaint in the state bar. And second of all, I want the hearing to be free because you're trying to not represent me unless you win. Thanks, Mr. Tall Redhead. Thanks for not sticking up for me, for engaging in petty little emails, not telling me the information I needed to help protect me against a complete psychopath. Just saying, attorney number 1, thanks, okay. So let me tell you, if someone has a problem that this is not my attorney anymore, they can go ask him why he didn't